Yeah, well, I guess I'll show a picture of this. We've got another new piece of equipment that showed up today, or new to us. It's a John Deere air seeder drill. We had talked about possibly rebuilding ours, and we found this one online. It's an older model, and it has the original ones that were built. John Deere made, they put a metal Gandy box on them, they're called, instead of the poly box for the seed. But other than that, it's the same. But this drill was completely rebuilt 2 years ago. Didn't have a lot of acres on it since. And the only reason it was sold, the farm that sold it, they bought a 40-footer. They wanted to go to a 40-footer, so it came out of Indiana. So it just showed up here this morning, and so yeah, it has the sectional shut off. Like the corn planters would have a row shut off. When you get to the point rows, it'll shut each row off as they're starting to cross other rows, where this one would have a sectional shut off. And has all the updates to the newer like for the seed boots and stuff like that. So, but anyway, I guess we'll see what we think of it and go from there. But like I said, we got a really good price on it. Came out of Indiana. Did go through some snowy weather somewhere on the way in, so we're gonna power wash it here probably tomorrow. It's pretty cold today, but yeah, we were thinking of rebuilding ours this winter, but I guess we'll plan to resell it. We're still gonna do a little fixing up on it, a few things, but it will be for sale. Yeah, I'll just kind of do a walk around here of the whole drill. The main tires in the center are getting worn pretty good. Some of them not terrible, but the outside tires that are on the wings a lot of them are in real good shape. So we're thinking of switching the inside tires with the outside tires. Give us a lot of life left in them, hopefully. But yeah, has all the updates on the seed boots and of the newer ones, and just a lot of things that were updated and upgraded on it that should make it hopefully last for a lot of years. Sure looks like it's going to be a beautiful Sunday morning. The sun's just about ready to come up. Yeah, we've been talking about how dry our fall has been. We've had a few rains recently, but nothing to amount to a lot, like not any heavy soaking rains. We've had a couple tenth here and a few tenth there, maybe a half inch one time. But we're up here at a lake near us that we always enjoy coming to. It's actually a water reservoir for a local town here. So, but yeah, you can take electric motor boats out on it and kayaks, stuff like that. It is like majorly low. I don't think we've ever seen it this low. Here's a boat dock they have to put your boats in, and usually the water's up at least halfway up this boat dock, but it's way down there till where you even see where the water is. I've seen it when it was maybe halfway between the boat dock and down there, probably a good 8 or 10 feet more than what's in it. But yeah, and over there on the other side you can see them banks, or that bank. Usually it's pretty much right up to the top of that bank. So I would venture to guess it's down close to 20 feet. But yeah, it's beautiful up here in the summer and the fall, and especially in the fall when the leaves are changing. But it's really pretty up here about any time of the year. It's Monday morning here, and I showed some video of the other day cleaning up some of this. Yeah, we had pushed all the dirt and roots and stuff that were laying here on down below here and kind of filled in the hole, but there was a bunch of brush. I'd say 8 or 10 load of brush at least, stumps, brush, I think even had a load or two of bamboo stuff in here that I lit Saturday evening, and it pretty much burned it all up. There's a little bit left here to push in. This morning then we brought some other trash over here, and we lit another spot over here, a couple more spots where it had a little bit of brush and stuff there as well. So talking about a bunch of rain here today. This was the day they were supposed to start hauling that millings and dirt in from that other job site, but we haven't heard yet whether that's on or not. They're talking about kind of showers and rain off and on all day, so guess we'll see. Yeah, depends where they're hauling from and whether they're probably not really wanting to work in the rain either. Yeah, we don't have a lot happening this week. If they decide not to bring that dirt in, especially they're talking about 3 days here of some rain and showers. But yeah, so we'll just have the normal farm work to do, and we'll take it one day at a time and see what happens. A little while since we did a video of bedding our Freestalls. We have mattresses in our Freestalls. They have a top cover on them. Yeah, you can. There's a 3/4 inch or inch thick padding underneath here, and then there's a kind of a rubber celled mattress under that. So it's really good cushion. So we basically just put a little bit of sawdust on the top to keep everything clean. We have a 6-inch PVC pipe that we use as a brisket board to keep them in their stalls. But yeah, this is what it looks like, about what it looks like whenever we're ready to bed the stalls. We bed them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So they would have been bedded last Friday, so it would have been 3 days. Friday afternoon, I'll try to put a little extra in because we're going 3 days. But yeah, we go through every milking and scrape the wet spots off the back or soiled spots. And if it's real dirty, like a really wet spot, we'll try to make sure there's some clean shavings on it most of the time, or clean sawdust. But today, being we're going through and bedding them, you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, we try to keep a decent amount of bedding on them, but it's not a lot, enough to keep them clean. With being overcrowded like we are here in our Freestall barn, the key to keeping all your cows clean is keeping a good amount of bedding on there. So if you don't keep enough bedding on and they work most of it off, yeah, the cows will get a lot dirtier, but they kind of drag some to the back as they back out of the stalls too. So that kind of, with their front feet, like so that's helps a lot too. But yeah, we got them all bedded here. It's pretty dusty in here right now. We always bed them right when they take the cows out the milk, or pen the cows up the milk. And man, I got a little bit of that dust. We use a kiln dried sawdust. I like mostly more of a dust instead of shavings. It stays in the stalls a lot better and keeps them a lot drier. Yeah, if you use shavings, they tend to work them out a little quicker, and in the summer when the curtains are all open and the wind's blowing, it'll blow that stuff right out. But yeah, the dust will clear out of here. Today's kind of overcast. It was raining most of the day. It's not raining now, but it's still overcast and no wind, so it might take a little longer to clear out. But usually in 5 minutes or so, it's pretty much all cleared out. But we have alley scrapers in our Freestall barn, and I've mentioned about that before, but right at the ends here where the corner wheel is, there's a little bit that it don't get right at the end. So try to once a day, or at least not more than every other day, clean that up, and so don't get a big, it's just kind of the last foot or 1 to 2 feet right at the end where it stops at the corner wheel and then reverses. And anyway, we did put ours in that the drive unit is outside the barn here. Yeah, this is the same drive unit we've had since we built the Freestall barn in 2001. So it'd be 23 till spring, it'll be 24 years old. Thing runs 24 hours a day. We had to replace the drum in there one time where the cable wraps up on it. Maybe someday I'll do an overview of that thing, but it has served us quite well. If I'd ever do it again, I would build the barn a little longer and put it inside the barn, but we don't have much trouble with it. But and it's really, really cold, or if you get a lot of snow, if you get a real blowing snow, it can get some of that drug in underneath it, and every now and then cause some issues. And the worst of that is that's right when you don't want to have issues when it's cold or when you're dealing with other things with snow. But anyhow, yeah, mainly talking about the Freestalls here. Yeah, we got them all bedded here. This is about what they look like once we bed them. We have a sawdust bedding spreader on the front of the skid loader we bed them with. So it works really, really nice. We just go down through and put a thin layer on the top so it spreads it out evenly and don't waste sawdust. I should say this yet, we try to keep the most of it right up against the brisket board there, that pipe, that 6-inch green PVC pipe, but we do like a little bit scattered back across the tube. But yeah, then it's like I said before, they kind of work it back with their front feet as they go in and out. So we have almost absolutely no trouble if a cow's laying in the Freestall barn. Maybe once in a great while there was one that'll come down, or first calf heifer once in a while, you might have a little bit of trouble for a time or two. But I mean, as a general rule, I'm gonna say out of a month there might be 2 to 4 milkings you see a cow come down and you think might have laid down in the alley somewhere, and they usually lay right up here at the end where that little bit of manure collects and don't scrape up quite right too. We have a woodchuck bedding spreader, and I'm not saying they're the best out there, but they're good. Yeah, I'll just say it that way. I don't have it quite empty here. I should have dumped it all out, but there's a little beater there around the middle, and then down at the bottom it got more of a small auger that has flighting on it, and it's reversible. There's like a spinner at each end that, yeah, I think I can probably get a little bit of video. Yeah, there you can see the spinner in there, and that auger pulls it over into that spinner. Depending on which way you're running the auger, you see you can kick out both sides. There's a drive chain and a motor inside. Let me see, I think there's 2 different motors and a drive chain, one on each end. I'd have to open it up now. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I know there's drive chains on both ends, and I think there's 2 motors on it, but like a little hydraulic motor. They're right inside this plate right here. Yeah, but yeah, we've had this thing, I'm gonna guess close to 15 years, if not a little more than that, because it wasn't too long after we built the Freestall barn that we got it. And you tilt it down flat, like there's a cutting edge right here on this side. You tilt it down flat and you scoop into the sawdust and scoop it right up, and yeah, you can get a nice big scoop. And the only thing we ever had to change on it, I think we had to replace 2 bearings on it already, just these small bearings at the end, and maybe the chains once, but I'm not quite sure about the chains now. Every now and then we open that up and oil them up. But yeah, it's been fairly trouble-free. So, and we don't run anything coarse through it or anything, but yeah, we just do the sawdust, bed to Freestalls. We use 2 of these scoopfuls every time we bed to Freestalls for the milk house. We'd go through 6 a week up here, and then we use, in the winter, we bed to dry cow Freestalls the same day. So, and we usually only use 1 down there, as there's only about half as many stalls. Now, if it's really wet weather and they look a little wetter, sometimes we'll use 2 scoops down there, because we don't have any mattresses down there to keep things a little cleaner. But so yeah, on a general rule, we use 9 of these scoops a week. And for the dry cows, we do use more of a sawdust shavings mixture, being we're going with deep bedded beds down there and don't have mattresses. And so yeah, it's a little cheaper than this finer sawdust. I think this sawdust mixture here, we do have a little bit of gypsum in with it. You can see some of it up there at the top, just a very small percentage. Kind of helps keep down on cut the bacteria. It keeps the pH lower, so won't let bacteria grow as quick. But the others that we get, this is kiln drying sawdust. That down there is not kiln drying, but it has gypsum mixed with it as well. I think this here finer kiln drying sawdust is $1,600 for a trailer load, 120-yard trailer load. What we have down there that we use is, I think, right at $1,000. So there's quite a bit of savings. if we try to use that green up in the Freestall barn, I'm not gonna say we have more mastitis trouble, maybe just a little bit, but our somatic cell count tends to run a little higher, so that's why we like to use the dry kiln up here to try to keep that as low as we can and get our premiums and keep the dairy happy. So yeah, this little sawdust shed here we built, it's gonna soon need a new cover. We built it probably 5 years after the Freestall barn. You can really see it's getting cracked. I'm afraid one of these times we have a really nasty windstorm, it might not have a cover on it anymore, but yeah, it won't cost a whole lot. We replaced the cover on our Freestall barn about 5 years ago, because it was 18 years old. So yeah, this one here would be about due for that. So yeah, it gets a little crummy looking inside here more than it does in the Freestall barn. I'm not sure why, but I guess it's, yeah, that don't look like that inside the Freestall barn. Yeah, since I showed that sawdust roof, I'll just go ahead and show a little bit in the Freestall barn. Not saying it ain't discolored at all, but it's nothing like that. We do have a ridge vent up at the top here in the Freestall barn to let air exhaust out. And so yeah, that's what you see up there. That definitely helps keep the air fresh in here. Here you can see it's not quite all cleared out yet. It's probably been 10 minutes ago, but it's definitely way more cleared out than it was earlier. Haven't showed this in a while. When the alley scrapers get to the end, there's a switch. It stops it and reverses it to go the other direction, and the bottom part on the alley scraper flips up when it goes backwards, and then there's 2 little wings at each end that pull in a little bit, and when it starts going forward, it slowly automatically flips those scrapers in the middle down, and the wings at the edges pull themselves right out. Within, I'm gonna say 18 inches to 2 feet, that wing will have itself pulled the whole way out. The scraper itself will flip down within 6 to 8 inches, but the wing at the edge, it takes a little bit longer than that. It takes about not quite 2 hours to make a complete circle. So I think it's around 50 minutes to get from one end to the other. So to it make a complete circle, like I think it'd be about an hour and 3/4, give or take a little, but somewhere in that range. So we're basically like scraping the barn a little less than every 2 hours. And that's another key, I think, to with being a little overcrowded up here and keeping the cows clean. Like the alleys here, yeah, you can see, and there's some manure on them, but it's not very bad at all, really. Yeah, so till it gets down there, it'll have a pretty nice puddle of manure in front of it, probably enough to fill maybe 2 skid loader bucketfuls, or one and a half for sure. But yeah, it just kind of runs along in front of it, and there's cables that that are on the alley scraper that wrap up on that big drum. Like I said, I'll say a little more about some of that later maybe, but there you can see the cable right there. There's a little track, the groove in the concrete that it runs in, and on the scraper itself there's this part right here would be called what they call the sled. That's what your cables connect to. And then there's a ratchet right in here. It's maybe kind of covered with manure right now, but there's one on each side where you have a great big wrench. You can tighten up the cable, and every now and then you have to tighten the cable, not very long. We are going to need to replace these scrapers here soon. This one here, we had to replace this sled this summer. It went bad on us, but underneath this sled here at the front and then back at the back, we have a piece welded on underneath the bottom that's about, I think it's about 3/4 of an inch thick and maybe 1.5 inches down and maybe 8 or 10 inches long, and it's welded in there on an edge, and that runs in that groove that keeps the scraper running straight. The groove is down in the concrete, but then this floor here is the side they eat off of, and it's got rubber on the floor. So there is like a hard strip about 4 inches wide on either side of the groove as well, but then from there on over it's rubber, but that groove does go on down in the concrete. So yeah, it's the cable we use is stainless steel. It's 3/8 inch stainless steel. We've tried about everything from 1/2 inch galvanized. For years we ran that. They had a rope, kind of a nylon rope, heavy duty nylon rope, something or another that was supposed to do well, and it did all right. The worst thing with that was you had to tighten that up way more often, especially right at the beginning. And they got me. I never tried a stainless steel before, but the 3/8 stainless steel isn't much more expensive than the 1/2 inch galvanized. And man, at the most we've had was, there's 3 sections of cable on the scraper. There's one that goes between this scraper and down to the other end and hooks to the other scraper on the other side, and then there's one between each of the scrapers and the drum, the drive unit. So there'd be 3 sections of scraper, or 3 sections of cable. The most we ever had one cable last was probably close to a year. Some a little more, some a little less. And this one section of stainless steel, the first one we tried, it's probably a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. And it is still showing very little, if any way, or anywhere. And so yeah, it does maybe stretch a little bit quicker, but not near like rope did. I mean, I just tightened it up a little bit the other day. That was the first I did anything to it for probably 6 weeks or 2 months. It's not like you have to do it very often. So yeah, anyway, it's a little bit overview of that. There's the local company that sells these scrapers is having their annual open house here this month and having 10% off. So we want to get these scrapers ordered over that because they're not cheap. Just this scraper, everything you need for one scraper for one alley's probably, the last one we bought was around $2,500. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot more than that because it's been a number of years ago. I would say the scraper would last a good 5 to 7 years, maybe a little longer. This is probably maybe, I'm going to guess right off the top of my head, maybe the 4th time we replaced them since we had this Freestall barn. It's been 23 years. So yeah, that would be, if this is the 3rd set and we're buying the 4th, that would be 7.5 years on average probably. So yeah, there's definitely some pros and cons to scrapers. Some guys like them, some guys hate them. We love them. There's a little bit of maintenance on them, a little bit of, when it's really cold, you really got to keep after them. That would be one drawback I don't like about it, but it'd be nice if you could just take them out or shut them off and be able to scrape and not worry about them over that time. But that in and of itself would be a pain too. But yeah, if somebody had to be up here every milking, scraping when right after we pen the cows up, that would take a good, oh man, I don't know, 15-20 minutes at minimum. And yeah, then you got to do it morning and evening. There's no way you could do it just once a day, or it would be a royal mess in here with how sloppy it would get. So yeah, there's, like I said, there's maintenance to them. There's pros and cons to it, but there's also labor involved and maintenance on a skid loader or a tractor to scrape with too. Here's the sawdust shaving mixture we use for our dry cows. There's still a lot of dust in there, but there is some more coarser shavings as well. And yeah, this stuff works really good. I mentioned about it being a green sawdust, but it's really dry for being, when I say green, it would be from lumber that was not kiln dried. So that's what it means whenever I say green. But yeah, it's not a lot of moisture in it at all. I mean, it feels really dry. And I mentioned how much they cost per load. I would say the Freestall barn, a load will last close to 6 weeks. This load here, it depends. In the summer, we don't need near as much here in the dry cows. We do use this sawdust in some of the younger heifer pens as well. And yeah, in the winter, we probably an average of about 5 to 6 weeks for both loads. In the summer, the Freestall barn would be the same, but this here would last a little longer. Here's the drill we got. I showed it there when it was on the truck as we were unloading it, and then it had some salt. Apparently ran through some snow or roads that had salt on them somewhere. So Saturday we opened it up and rinsed it all off good. It came Friday morning. It was just brutal cold all day Friday. So Saturday we opened it up and washed it off good. And then they were calling for some rain today, so we decided just to let it sit out up here on the hill and get the thing cleaned up a little better. And tomorrow we'll probably get it put in a shed. We want to go over and just double check everything. Yeah, everything looks good and solid on it, but yeah, we don't want to wait till spring when we're ready to use it and realizing there's a couple little things that need taken care of and get held up there. So it's supposed to be a 30-foot drill, so we'll take a whole lot less time to plant now, so that part will really be nice. Yeah, we were debating, I had mentioned earlier in the one video, whether we wanted to rebuild our drill or just sell it, and probably what we found this one fairly reasonably priced. So for what we'd have to pay to rebuild ours, between that and what we can get out of it, probably will almost pay for this drill. Maybe not quite, but pretty close. Probably might not be able to plant twice as fast because it probably, yeah, take a little more time. You're not going to want to go quite as fast when you have a wider piece, but that's not all bad because, yeah, if you slow down a little bit, just everything seems to go a little better too. But as far as the drill itself, it's about identical to ours as far as the planting part of it. So we're used to all of that and know what we got to work with and know what to look for and what to do.